This is the Speak For Yourself podcast featuring the best of Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. I'm your host, Jason McIntyre. Wow, what a crazy Thursday show. NFL free agency off to a flying start. We got a lot of NBA. Oh my gosh, the Russell Westbrook conversation so heated. And no Colin Cowherd. Oh boy, here we go. Former NFL coach Eric Mangini. Boy, I had a great sit down with Mangini today. 20 minutes off the record on what it's like to be an NFL coach. And this is one of the topics that came up. Aaron Rodgers speaks out, and Mangini is not a fan. Whitlock says he doesn't blame Kirk Cousins for wanting out of Washington and reminds us all their general manager didn't even go to the combine. Former Super Bowl champ Eric Davis checks in and says, wait a minute, the Romo tenure in Dallas was not successful. It'll be remembered for big interceptions and botched fumbles. I prefer to go with unlucky, the injuries, the snap against Seattle. Let's not kill Romo, okay? The stats say Hall of Fame. Oh, man. We talk NBA, Golden State Warriors. Hey, you know what it is. Lost to the Celtics, national television. Got to get knee-jerk. Warriors in trouble. Panic! So a quick word on the Westbrook debate. That discussion got heated. Listen, those guys love Westbrook in the triple-doubles, but when is he going to trust his teammates? Who has he made better? Look at James Harden in Houston. He's made everyone better. I don't see Westbrook doing that in OKC. Yes, the triple-doubles are impressive. Yes, he's got great stats, but he's not a top 3 MVP candidate right now. Ready for Speak For Yourself? Take it away, Whitlock.
All right, welcome to the show. Cowherd is out. Carter's in. And this guy, Chris Carter, is in. I'm Jason Whitlock. Coming up, more Tony Romo drama in Dallas. And the Redskins are officially a disaster again. Speak For Yourself starts now. Great show. It's International Tony Romo Day. I just named that. Putin and I decided it's International Tony Romo Day. Hello and welcome. NFL free agency is officially underway. Happy birthday, Tony Romo. Joining me to break it all down is Hall of Famer Chris Carter, former NFL head coach Eric Mangini, and Super Bowl champion Eric Davis. All right, let's start in Dallas, where it's being reported the Cowboys are expected to trade Tony Romo, contradicting early reports which said he would be released. Either way, Romo was told his days in Dallas are over, ending a 13-year tenure with the team. Romo put up Hall of Fame stats and helped return the Cowboys to relevance, but his noticeable postseason failures have marred his legacy in Dallas, according to some. Earlier today, Romo posted this message on Instagram.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to come and tell you it's been a crazy 48 hours here, and me and my family have felt the outpouring of support and love from all of you. It's been overwhelming, and it doesn't go unnoticed, so I want to say thank you, and we have a lot to think about here going forward, but we'll see what happens. Till then, I'm just going to keep listening to Bob Dylan.
Hey, enough. What does Heather say?
That's my wife. She just loves me unconditionally.
Chris, would you like a tissue? That was a very emotional speech from Tony Romo. Look, you can make fun of Tony Romo, and I know you will, or perhaps you will. The guy had a great career in Dallas. He belongs in the Dallas Ring of Honor. I don't think he's a Hall of Fame football player, but I think he was a very successful, undrafted quarterback out of Eastern Illinois, put up great numbers, made Dallas relevant. I don't think his postseason failures overshadow the fact that an undrafted guy out of Eastern Illinois became one of the greatest quarterbacks in Dallas history.
Absolutely, all true. He did have a fabulous career. He just happened to play with the Cowboys when they weren't very good. Now, that's going to be the story of it. Now, he has a chance to be able to rectify that or maybe add to his legacy. As far as him being one of the greatest Cowboys ever, he holds enough records, and I'm sure his relationship with Jerry, he probably will end up in the Ring of Honor. The Cowboys had a lot of great football players, though. I don't think that the Cowboys fans should be disappointed by this. Tony Romo has earned the right with Cowboys fans to be able to play someone else. It's play with another team because he's healthy. He's a competent, strong starting quarterback. He's never had great playoff success. He should have the opportunity, based on his relationship with Jerry, to be able to go somewhere else and try to play some football for the next 2 to 3 years. Now, most of us in the NFL, we're not granted that. You know, we go as the boss tells us to. When they tell us we're fired, we're fired. We don't get a chance to negotiate our release. So he's been very fortunate that he has a relationship with Jerry. I think he has 2 to 3 good years of football, and with the right team, I believe he can lead them to the Super Bowl.
Anybody else?
Go here. I got to hear this.
Look, I grew up a Dallas Cowboy fan, so I remember going from Staubach to, Danny White, Gary Hogaboom.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, Tony Romo compared to those guys, he's been pretty good, and I think he's been on teams that have struggled. And I think that when you look back at what he's been able to accomplish, it's right up there with a lot of the Dallas Cowboy greats. And in this situation, I know Chris is making fun of his Instagram poster, or, enjoyed
Well,
his
he's
Instagram.
got an awful nice weight room. And Tony Romo don't have no great body. So they're playing music. His wife is walking through the back. Ain't no weights clinging. Ain't no bodybuilding going on. So
Nowhere.
Yeah, but he's saying goodbye to a place that's been a very meaningful place to him for a long time. And look, now it's transition. They might trade him. I hope for the best for Tony Romo, and I've always thought that he was a top-flight quarterback.
Okay, shot that video from the kitchen. If I ever do a farewell, it'll be from the kitchen. Not the
Okay, successful. That's what I heard from you guys. No. By the Dallas Cowboys standards, it hasn't been successful, and I'll tell you why. First of all, we have to get beyond the fact that he was undrafted, okay? Because that just says the league was wrong. Okay, so everybody, even the Dallas Cowboys, they didn't draft him. Undrafted free agent, so all the teams were wrong about his skill set. So now he became a $100 million quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. And what do we remember him for? Botched snaps, playoff interceptions. He didn't, not getting his team beyond the 2 playoff games that he won. He became the quarterback of the franchise. They were wrong about him, but he couldn't get to the guys that are on that ring of honors. You mentioned Rodgers Staubach. Why is he on there? Because he got those rings. Why is the next guy who could? Then you go to Danny White and Hogaboom. They're not up there. But Troy Aikman is, because Dallas has measured success by doing that. That's what they say, not me. So as far as his career being successful, not saying he wasn't a good player, not saying he's not a good player, but his career as the Dallas Cowboys quarterback is not successful, and they say so.
But what, didn't Staubach have Tony Dorsett? Wasn't there Ed Too Tall Jones and Randy White? I mean, there are some pretty historic Dallas players that played with Rodgers Staubach. And I just think when you look at this guy, we talk about his fumbled snap in a playoff game. You get the tissues out.
We want to find reasons to say, well, if these things had happened, if those things had happened, and it wasn't Romo's fault. Yes, some of those times they were Romo's fault. And what I'm saying, what they measure success by, it's not just winning a bunch of regular season games. Dallas measures it a different way.
You make a good point that once he becomes the starter,
you're the guy.
That you remove that he's not drafted and he's kind of an unsung hero.
Yes.
Because
Yeah, why don't you give him the $100 million?
right. So you have to judge him on a different criteria, and all the other criteria we judge the quarterbacks on is winning. So I respect that. That's a good view.
You've made a hell of a point, actually. You kind of flipped me. Great job, Eric. All right, welcome back to the show. Chris Carter, Eric Mangini, and Eric Davis are back. Let's move to Green Bay, where Aaron Rodgers just doubled down on his statement that the Packers need to abandon their conservative approach and go all in with offseason moves. Rodgers said, I just think there are more guys out there that are available either immediately or maybe during the season that could potentially help us win. But again, my job is to play football, and their job is to make those decisions. I completely agree with Aaron Rodgers. The guy, to me, is playing at the highest level I've ever seen from a quarterback. It's not going to last forever. They need to be trying to squeeze as much out of Aaron Rodgers as they can, and they need to be all in and making sure he has all the pieces to win right now. He's not going to be great forever. Don't look at me like that, Eric Mangini. You do whatever you can to support Aaron Rodgers.
Do you think the head coach and the GM are not all in? Do you think the coaches aren't all in? Do you think they're all sitting saying, you know, let's just go 80% this year? That makes a lot of sense.
Ted Thompson is the most conservative general manager
I
in the
like
National
Aaron
Football
Rodgers,
League.
but you don't think he can get a meeting with the GM and the head coach to express his feelings privately?
Yeah. You don't think he has?
Right. So now he's going to try to win the battle through the media?
Why not?
And that's productive? He can put pressure on in the building. Look, I like Aaron Rodgers a lot. I don't like this.
Also, Aaron Rodgers is not the most warm and fuzzy guy in the locker room.
Oh, you got to be warm and fuzzy?
No, but I'm just...
Were you warm and fuzzy?
Absolutely. I was invited. We had all kind of free agents coming to Minnesota. If we would have had the budget, we would have had more people come there.
You know what? I got to agree with you.
Absolutely.
At the Pro Bowl, he was recruiting me. Man, he worked for his team. He did.
Absolutely. but we've heard about Aaron Rodgers, so now he's being friendly with the media, talking about the general manager. They have a model. Now, they do need to tweak their model a little bit, but as an organization, they're the only team that's publicly owned. As an organization, they have gone about their business in a great fashion. They refurbished Lambeau Field. They have all the things around the team. They got good salary cap room. They have a star quarterback. Now, they do owe it to him to be able to try to win Super Bowl #2 because Green Bay is one of the rare franchises. They have had 3 franchise quarterbacks. Bart Starr won a couple world championships. They only won 1 with Brett, and that was because
they got Reggie White.
Absolutely, and they won 1 with Aaron. I don't think they'll be satisfied if Aaron retires, and he's playing the best football. I agree with you on that we've seen. So he does need some support, but I like the way they do business, and that's why they win and have won for a long period of time.
Jason, I'm with you. I think they have to change the way they're doing business. I agree with Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he didn't necessarily have to put it out there, but what he's saying, I agree with. You look at the way they've done things through the draft. They don't put a lot into free agency. Yes, they won that 1 Super Bowl, but they peak out. They've been peaking out lately in the playoffs. And you look at the model team. You look at what's out there in New England, and what do? They draft their guys. They pick out right free agents. They groom those guys, but they'll go pluck a free agent when they need one.
Where do they shop? Where do they shop for free agents?
At the bottom of the basket.
It's like
they shop at the checkout. All the stuff people done thrown away.
Shop. Okay, you can say, I don't know. You might say that you're shopping at the bottom of the barrel, but they're shopping. That's it. They are shopping. They're getting guys that they need at key positions all the time, as opposed to saying we're going to raise them all.
You're saying Green Bay never brings in any free agents ever?
No, I'm not saying ever, but again, they need to be more aggressive about it.
There's not the high-profile, big-money guys. Maybe those guys aren't coming in. But New England, they'll do it sporadically. They'll bring in a high-money guy. But typically, they're going to evaluate the league and supplement the draft.
But you look at New England going to get Revis, okay? That's not shopping at the bottom of the barrel what they did. They needed that position, and they went and got it.
How often does that happen, though?
But it happens in Green Bay. Is on Rodeo
I know. I drafted Revis, okay? I know where Rodeo Drive is.
One more thing about Aaron Rodgers before we move on. Aaron didn't complain when he took that $100 million contract, that extension 3 years ago.
No, he didn't.
Now listen. Now the salary cap is up to $167 million. Only the last couple of years have we seen that big growth for the NFL. So most of the teams that were strapped with a $100 million quarterback, they suffered. And that's what Green Bay went through. Now there's more money available because of the TV. That's just obvious. But most of the teams are Baltimore. When they gave Flacco, what happened to them? Yeah. Right? Matty Ice, they had to go through a couple mediocre years till they got back.
Happened with the Saints. Yeah.
Look, I want to say this, particularly to Eric, though. What Aaron Rodgers is talking about, though, we're at the beginning of free agency. No one's even talking about Green Bay. They're not even putting on an act like there's some urgency here. And when you do that, it sends a message to your entire roster that we're urgent about winning the championship. It energizes your franchise. What I'm hearing from Aaron Rodgers is like, things feel stale, and I'm tired of it, and I don't blame him for expressing that.
The reason that they're able to compete year in and year out is because they're not trying to win the press conference.
No, because they have Aaron Rodgers. And that's why they can compete
who they drafted, right? Didn't they draft Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Just like they drafted a bunch of really good players there. So they're able to use money to extend guys. They're able to use money to keep the guys that they have. But what I'm saying is this isn't about winning the press conference. So what, you win the first week of free agency? There's a lot of teams that do that every year, and they're not very good.
Winning the press conference, the guys out there doing magic tricks in order for them to win playoff games, and he wants some help, and he deserves
it. This week, you're overpaying free agency as it is. You're overpaying the most right now. This is the worst time to buy.
Just a little comment. All right, welcome back. Chris Carter is still in for Colin Cowherd. Joining us now is Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard and the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. All right, let's go to Oklahoma City, where Russell Westbrook and the Thunder welcome Kawhi Leonard and the Spurs tonight. Westbrook's triple-doubles have put him ahead of Kawhi in this year's MVP race, but Real Clear Sports says they shouldn't because, quote, the triple-double is overrated. Listen, I'm another guy I flip-flop. Colin kind of moved me a little bit on this yesterday, and I started giving it some more thought. Chris, we think, hey, if he averages a triple-double, automatic MVP. Oscar Robertson had a triple-double and finished third in the MVP race. And
Will Chamberlain averaged 50 points and 26 rebounds that year and finished second. You gonna tell me if somebody averaged 50 and 26 this year, he wouldn't win the MVP?
Different league now, but again, the triple-double...
I think it's not real clear sports, it's real confused sports. Okay? If the triple-double's so easy to get, why isn't anybody getting it?
It's not about easy to get.
Yeah.
It's about what impact does it have on the game. Listen, just think about this. Would you rather have Dennis Rodman's rebounding in defense or a guy that gets you triple-doubles?
A triple-double, especially when he's giving me 30 points, too. I mean, seriously, he's leading the league in scoring. This isn't 12 points, 10 assists, and 11 rebounds.
And he's taking the most shots.
30.
So let's not forget
but he's
that.
Just to get shots.
Most of the time when you're in the top 3 in scoring, you're going to be one of the top 3.
Michael Jordan averaged 27 shots one year.
Where's it got them, Chris? Where have the triple-doubles got Oklahoma City?
25 and 6. When he gets the triple-double, they're 25 and 6.
25 and 6, wonderful. And now Westbrook in the sixth. Hold on, Chris.
If he was
60th game of the season, Westbrook looks tired. 4 straight games, no triple-doubles. He is worn down.
He just scored 58.
Yeah, and did he get a triple-double? Did they win? Chris, you're missing a point. It's late in the season. They are worn down. They've lost 4 in a row to lottery teams. Russell Westbrook and the team are worn down. They've lost 4 straight.
58.
They've lost 4 straight to lottery-bound teams. And he's got to do everything. Whitlock, he's got to do everything for 60 games. Triple-doubles galore. And guess what? 20 games left. And what has Westbrook got in the tank? They're not winning now.
But it's not his fault.
It's not. He's not getting triple-doubles.
A lot of people have losing streaks. They have time to pick it up. And I'm not just saying if he averages a triple-double, he's got to get the MVP. They got to win some games, maybe 46, 47 games. They're starting to lose it, and he could fall out, but it's not his fault.
Could fall out. He's out. He's not getting no MVP. Stop it.
First of all, overrated. There's a little fatigue with Russell in the triple-double because he's been doing it for 4.5 straight months. All right? There's also some hate for Russell because people don't like him as a player.
I love him, but
now, if you had someone else getting these stats, what would they be saying about him, even if the team was with the record that they have? Because they're not losing. They're just not winning on a great scale like we're used to. And it's not his fault that Kevin Durant left. That's not, but we're holding him responsible.
Hold for 1 second, though. You said if LeBron were getting the triple-double, would it be different? Yes, it would, because LeBron would be shooting 48, 49%. LeBron wouldn't be second in the league in turnovers. LeBron wouldn't be the volume shooter that the way Russell Westbrook is doing. Listen, I love Russell Westbrook. The triple-double, though, I just don't know. And again, I know they're 25 and 6 with him, but I'm just telling you, I'd rather have someone.
Don't use the word overrated because people aren't doing it.
Exactly.
The game is changed. There are a few more rebounds available.
No.
But one mean dude the ball's in the air. You know who ends up with it? The one who wants it the most. And his name is Russell.
And you're
trying to discredit that.
Hold on, this is the thing, too.
I love a guy who comes to do his job. No,
every night.
He is doing the work every single night. He should be tired now.
It's more does he have to trust his teammates? You know what? I don't need to grab every rebound.
Something.
Trust the 5 lottery picks on the roster.
No, you ain't passing up rebounds. No. You can pass up shots.
You got Cantor at your boy Steven Adams.
It's more difficult to average a triple-double today than where Oscar Robertson did it.
What their record is. That's what their roster is.
When Oscar Robertson got his triple-double in 1962, he had 42 extra possessions per game than Westbrook's got. They shot the ball a ton more back then. There were like 56 more rebounds available per game in 1962 than there are. That's why guys average 25 rebounds, 22 rebounds, 20 rebounds. I remember watching it as a little baby. Sitting there as a little 2-year-old saying,
no Steph Curry back then.
Tonight, it's Big East Tournament quarterfinal action on FS1. The Butler Bulldogs battle it out with Xavier at 7 Eastern. Then Providence squares off with deep shooting Creighton at 9:30 Eastern. It's the Big East Tournament quarterfinals tonight on FS1. Let's switch gears. Let's talk Warriors whose position is the NBA's best, appears to be in jeopardy since Kevin Durant went down with a sprained knee. Golden State got beat up by the Celtics last night at home and have now lost 3 of their last 5 games. Listen, I'm someone that thinks, hey, Kevin Durant's going to come back and is going to fix everything. I'm starting to waver on that position. Listen, the regular season, no matter how people coast during the regular season, but it is about developing an attitude, a swagger, a confidence that does filter over. You want to feel invincible and unbeatable heading into the playoffs. I think these struggles without Durant could linger on even when Durant comes back. You can lose your swagger and your confidence, and I really see it in Steph Curry. His shooting since the All-Star break, his three-point shooting since the All-Star break has not been good. He's been out of rhythm, I think, with the entire Durant deal. We thought maybe Durant being out would whip him back to the old-school Steph Curry. It's just not happening. I'm a little bit concerned.
I'm not concerned. I think there's obvious things that if they don't overcome them, they're going to have problems. If you watch them play, they have problems spacing on the floor. They used to have the best spacing, the best passing. Also, you don't see them going to their big man to engage in the offense the way they used to. They miss Bogut. We always talk about they miss height, they miss their bench. Their bench used to be able to ignite them, especially last season when they won 73 games. People just ignored how they might have been mediocre in the first quarter. They go to that first rotation, they end up with a 10-point lead. So my biggest problem with them is scoring the basketball. They can't score right now. So they don't have a bunch of styles that they can play. They can't play physical. They're up and down, spacing, take the first best shot, and shooting a high percentage from 3. So how do they get back to that style without KD? I don't think they're going to be able to do that, and I believe they're going to lose home court advantage. And they're going to struggle early in the playoffs trying to get momentum to try to win in the finals at San Antonio.
There are people in the NBA that feel like you do. I got a text from a scout today that was at that game last night. He said they're not the same team.
No.
Capital letters not. Their confidence is shaken. Capital letters confidence is shaken. But look, I think like you said, they may lose home court advantage, but good teams don't really care about that, okay? They had home court advantage last year and still lost to Cleveland in Game 7. San Antonio had home court last year and lost to Oklahoma City in the second round. The key is to get flowing by the time the playoffs start, and that's going to be the challenge because I think Steph and Klay will break out of this. They are too good of shooters not to. That's the problem, even I think beyond the bench and stuff. They cover up so many of their errors with their shooting ability. Steph is careless with the basketball. I mean, he makes crazy turnovers. They all do to some degree, but they make up for it with the threes. Now that you're not hitting the threes, it's a problem. But when Durant gets back, it's going to be another adjustment. And that, to me, is going to be their biggest challenge.
But do you guys also feel that there's kind of a fun quality that's lacking this year? The passes aren't as crisp. The fast breaks aren't as smooth. The threes, they just don't seem like they're having as much fun. It's tough to quantify. I know you said swagger, and I kind of agree with that. But in the fourth quarter, you see these guys, they're tired. Those legs are getting heavy. Maybe there is something to the bench, Chris.
Well,
maybe there's something to go into the finals 2 years in a row. But you see Curry, you hear Steve Kerr. You hear Steve Kerr saying, no more back-to-backs. We got to rest the guys. We need rest for the postseason. Something seems off. I'm not panicked. They still have the best record in the NBA.
Right. Well, the one thing that I see is, like you said, a shooting slump you can come out of, but bad spacing, and you can't overcome a lack of a bench. All right, the speed and explosion they had that came from their bench, we understate that. We just act like because they have players now, they don't have nearly the bench. So if the starting 5 or the first 6 don't play well, where do they go?
But the only thing we got to end on this note, shooting is about confidence. I see their confidence a little bit shaken, and so I just don't see them turning the switch back on and Steph recovering that shooting touch that he had a year ago. All right, to Washington, where Kirk Cousins was just franchise tagged by the Redskins, but apparently once out of Washington, reportedly Cousins appealed personally to owner Daniel Snyder and asked for a trade, though Snyder told him not to get his hopes up. Listen, I've been critical of Kirk Cousins. I don't believe he deserves a big mega franchise contract. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. I don't blame him. With all the dysfunction going on, Their general manager is at home right now for unexplained reasons. He didn't go to the combine. They're talking about getting rid of him. Deshaun Jackson's moving on to Tampa. Pierre Garçon, I think, just moved on. That organization is in a little disarray. They're talking about new leadership for the general manager position. That Jay Gruden got a contract extension when Daniel Snyder hasn't given anybody a contract extension. And as far as I know, Jay Gruden has yet to win a playoff game. I don't get this organization, so I don't blame Kirk Cousins for wanting out.
I don't know if Kirk goes in and asks for a trade unless he knows he's got a soft landing spot. So is he willing to be traded to anybody? I mean, I would ask that question. I'd say, okay, you're okay with us trading you to anybody, right?
Jacksonville.
And you don't typically go in when you have the franchise number and say, hey, I want out, unless you think you can go get that long-term deal somewhere else and that you know definitively that it's sitting there. And that, to me, I understand why Daniel Snyder said, yeah, I wouldn't get my hopes up. He shouldn't get his hopes up.
But I understand Kirk Cousins wanting out because he's in a situation with an organization that's in flux upstairs. You just mentioned some of his weapons at the wide receiver that are gone. And you had him on a prove-it contract last year. Because we're talking about what Mike Glennon has done and the Blake Bortles out there and the Osweilers out there. Can he go somewhere else and get a contract? Yes, he can. He can go out and get a multi-year contract.
But do you think he's asking for a trade if he doesn't know that he has a very specific
contract? Oh, well, he wants to go to
there?
San Francisco because his offensive coordinator is out there. So McVay has gone out there, and that's the guy he wants to work with.
Shanahan.
Kent Shanahan is out there. Yes. So that right there, he wants to go work with him. I understand that. But with all, and now you're going back to Washington, the team that won't commit to him. He's seeing these things happening, and you're looking at what's happening even with Scott McCloughan. Don't know what's going on, but that's a guy that has been a part of building some really good organizations. He's about to get out, so who's going to be in charge? I don't blame the guy for wanting to get out of that mess.
Also, I think Cousins, Scott McCloughan, I think was one of the guys in the organizations who believed in Kirk Cousins. All right, so let's go back to when they got drafted. The owner didn't want to draft him. Shanahan, Daddy Shanahan, he stood up and said, man, I want this kid. This kid's going to be a good NFL quarterback. So what Cousins watched was he watched his coach stand up for him. Now the coach's son is the head coach in San Francisco. And if you think some tampering ain't been going on there, you're crazy, because that's the only reason it gives him the impetus to be able to go into the owner's office, Daniel Snyder, and say, I don't want to be here. There's a few other things that took place. Remember the RG3 thing with his dad? How his dad was coming to the office telling him how he wanted to change the game plan, how he wanted to be like Brady, he wanted to be like Manning. Kirk Cousins witnessed all that. All right, so all the good players that left the organization, how they treated RG3, they just left Deshaun Jackson leave out the building. Pierre Garçon had the highest percentage of catches of any targets over 80 in the NFL last year. A great guy, a consistent wide receiver, not a diva. They just let him walk out to San Francisco like, hey, man, I might want to go out to San Francisco. So I understand Kirk Cousins, and don't think it's just what happened in this 12-month window, 16 months. This has been going on for 4 or 5 years. He's seen it, and he wants out.
Yeah, but they're paying him $41 million over the last 2 years for the right for him not to leave. And that's why you have the franchise tag. They are paying him an absolute premium to be able to keep him and hedge their bet. So look, he wants to leave? Okay, he wants to leave. We're going to give you $24 million not to.
$40-some-odd million for a quarterback that doesn't want to play for you. He's put that on the record. So now, over this last 4 or 5 years, they have RG3 Rookie of the Year, they draft Kirk Cousins, and all they have left for it is we spent $40 million on a guy who doesn't want to be here. Only Daniel Snyder.
Don't forget all them draft picks they gave up for RG3.
Yeah, we love to beat up on Jerry Jones, and he's the crazy owner. No one is crazier or runs a poorer franchise than the Washington Redskins and Daniel Snyder.
But he still doesn't have the right to leave. At this point, he's under the franchise tag. He's going to have to deal with it. And
are you comfortable giving the guy that kind of money that on the record doesn't want to be here?
But the reason they're doing that is they're not comfortable with giving him a long-term deal. They're not comfortable with giving him more money, and they're not really sure where he's at. So they're taking another year to say, okay, what are we going to do with this guy?
This is the Speak For Yourself podcast featuring the best of Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. I'm your host, Jason McIntyre. By the end of this podcast, who knows where Brock Osweiler will end up? Tony Romo to Houston, maybe? If you've seen the Super Bowl odds on the Texans, they're plummeting. Hope you got 40 to 1 like I did. Also, we're dark tomorrow for the Big East tournament. We'll be back on Monday. Also Monday, I'm going to try to do it at high noon East Coast time. We're going to be doing a Facebook Live on the NCAA tournament brackets. We're going to fill them out on Facebook Live. Should be fun. Follow me on Twitter for details. Enjoy championship weekend, and I can't wait for Sunday when the brackets are revealed. Have a good one.